Hello class, this is our next lesson for oral communication. This is lessons 4 and 5, elements of communication and the models of communication. Now in oral communication, I have this daily challenge to you that every time you're going to use the group chat, I am encouraging you to speak in English only. Because the only way to learn a language is to speak it. So I would like you to take this 5-month EOP challenge and always practice it at home, wherever you are. And you won't even notice that you are already good in the language. So under the elements of communication for our first lesson, this is about the participants, the context, the message, the channel, and the feedback. These are the elements of communication. So we already know that the participants are the communicators, namely the sender of the message and the receiver of the message. While the context, this pertains to the interrelated conditions that affects the message or affect the message. The message is the main idea that the sender would want to convey to the receiver. And the channel is the means of delivering the message or how the message was delivered. Okay, that is already clear. Was it written? Was it texted? Was it through email? Was it through gestures? That is the channel, the means of delivering the message. And the feedback, this is the response of the receiver to the given message of the sender. We have asked, is there such thing as zero feedback? There is no such thing as zero feedback, because even though you have not responded to the sender of the message, still there is a feedback that is going to the sender of the message. Example, you are classmates, and then your classmate asked you, do we have an assignment in oral com? And then you have seen, or yes, you have seen his message, and then you did not respond. For you, that is zero feedback because you did not respond. But for your classmate, that is something like, okay, this classmate of mine does not like me because he did not respond. So that is the feedback to the sender of the message. That is why you have to be very careful. If someone is asking a question, we have to give feedback because we cannot avoid people would think negatively if we did not respond to their message. Okay? But this time we are going to focus on the context. There are 4 contexts that affects the message. Again here, the context is the interrelated conditions that affects the message. So these 4 contexts has an effect to the communication process or the message. First is the physical context, social context, psychological context, and cultural context. We're going to discuss them one by one. Under the physical context, you can see here 2 different pictures, 2 different places. On the first picture, you can see that they are in the park. Well, if you're going to discuss or to explain or describe what is going in the park, there are people laughing, children playing, and it's a bit noisy, but it's a pleasant place. You can be who you are in this place. You can shout, you can laugh out loud. Okay, so that is the context here. You do have to speak loud because there are a lot of people. Because if you're going to whisper, your friend or the person whom you're talking to might not hear what you're saying because it's kind of noisy in this place. Okay, so communication has been affected because of the physical context, which is you are in the park. Okay, that is how you should communicate to the people when you are in this place. Same is true if you are in the church. Of course, your behavior in the park should not be brought in the church. Same in the school. If you are behaving this way in school, you're laughing, you're running, you should not do it in the church. Okay? So communication is changing wherever you are. Okay? Depending on the physical context. Physical context does not only include the place, but also the time. Say it is noontime, it is okay to shout, call your neighbor, "Hoy ate, meron po ba kayong ganyan?" Okay, so that is okay. You can do videoke until noontime, until afternoon, but if it is already late in the evening, people will call you insensitive if you will still be singing in the videoke at midnight. Okay, that is the physical context. I hope that is clear. Now let's proceed to the social context. On the first picture, you can see best friends or close friends. So that is how we talk when we are talking to our close friends or intimate friends. However, on the next picture, we can see two people who have just seen each other. Well, of course, you are not going to behave as if you are so close to the person whom you have just met. Okay? Your behavior will surely be different. Also, when a woman meets a man, that is not how they should talk, like in the first picture, especially if it is their first time to see each other. Okay, so social context also is uh, one of the means why communication is changing or affected. Why does this person doesn't want to talk to me as if we are close? Okay? For me, you are a stranger. Maybe for you, you are friendly, but for me, sorry, I am an introvert. Okay, I don't really want to talk to people like that. I'm an introvert. Okay, so social contact is one of the things that affects the communication process or the message. Right, so the point here is if you are talking to a stranger, keep distance because, of course, that person might be aloof or um, not used to talking to person whom he or she has just met. Okay, consider the social context. Next is the psychological context. This is very rampant, especially for women and especially for those who have relationships. Okay, in the first picture, you can see that the woman or the lady is in a good mood. And it seems like they're having a very good conversation while they're having their coffee. While on the second picture, you can see that the woman is not in a good mood and she seems like she doesn't want to talk to the man or her husband. Okay, so communication again is affected by psychological context. Whatever your mood is, communication will be affected. So it is noteworthy that if a person is not in a good mood, it is not smart or it's not advisable that you're going to talk about problems. Okay, better yet, let that person recover from that emotion that he or she is having and wait for the time for that person to be ready to discuss things or especially problems. Okay, for you to have better communication. And it is not good to make decisions when you are mad or sad because you're going to decide on things which are illogical, irrational, because it is affected by your emotions. Also, don't decide or promise when you are happy because when your emotion is neutral, you would say that I'm not really serious in giving that promise. I was just hype. Okay, so remember those things. Do not make a promise when you are happy, and do not make a decision, crucial decision when you are sad. Okay, wait for your emotion to be neutral. Okay, let us proceed now to the next context, which is the cultural context. Of course, when we are talking to other people, we have to consider from which culture or what is their cultural background. It doesn't matter if they're from the Philippines. We are also having different cultures in the Philippines. Example, Tagalog, Bisaya, Ilonggo, taga Zamboanga. They have different cultural background and practices as well. So you don't want to offend them because of your insensitivity to their cultural background. Example, if you are Tagalog and your friend visited you from Mindanao to Manila in Tagalog setting, once you arrive at home, you have to say magandang gabi po and you have to mano po. Everything has a po, okay? When you are talking to a Tagalog person, especially if it's an elderly, there should always be a po. You do not say oo, hindi, opo, hindi po. Okay, so those are cultural backgrounds. And for us, what? I'm not used to saying those things, but if you're not going to practice that, or if you're not going to apply that, you'll be labeled as bastos. Okay, you don't want that to happen. So what we are trying to point out is be sensitive to the cultural backgrounds, especially if they are foreigners, especially if you are in their place. Okay, let us proceed now. So those are the elements of the context, the different contexts, which affects the message or the communication process. I hope that is good. This time, let us go to the models of communication. Here we can see the elements of communication and the context as well. I would like you to always remember the elements of communication and the context always present as we discuss the models of communication. So first here is the linear communication model. Okay, here from the word linear, coming from the word line, means a straight line. This presents communication as one-way activity in which information flows from the sender to the receiver. A good example of this is this YouTube video. I am the sender, I have the message, which is the lesson, and you are the receiver. Okay? It is a one-way activity. I am not expecting you to give me a feedback because all I need to do is to give you information. Unless I'm going to ask for a feedback, then that is not a linear communication model. Another example for this is watching television. Okay, once you watch a television, the anchor is not asking for a feedback unless that TV program is a news program like um, in GMA, they are calling some of the people sometimes to interview. So that is not a linear communication model. Okay, so once the receiver only gives the message to the receiver, again, once the sender only gives the message to the receiver and not expecting any feedback, that is called the linear communication model. Okay, let us proceed now to the interactive communication model. So this shows communication as a two-way activity. The sender and the receiver have the same role in the activity. Either one comes up with an idea, sends a message, and reacts to it. So here you can see that on the right side and on the left side, they are both senders and receivers. They both encode and decode the message. Okay, they have the similar role. And you can also see here that there is a field of experience for each speakers or receivers of the message. As you can see, those field of experience are what we call the context. What is the place? What is their mood? Are they from different cultures? Okay. And are they friends? Okay, so you can see here the context. And whatever the field of experience is, they can share it together in the field of common experiences. And your message might have a different interpretation based on the field of experiences. For me, I mean no harm, but if you are offended with what I said because you are not in a good mood, then message has been affected already. And after that, you could have a quarrel afterwards because you don't share the common experience. You have the different contexts while you are speaking with each other. Okay, let us proceed now. Next is the transactional communication model. Here it presents communication not only as a two-way process, but also as a simultaneous activity. Simultaneous means continuous. Sender and receivers are called participants since they are capable of both sending and receiving messages anytime or at the same time. Nonverbal cues such as gestures, tone of voice, body language are also considered as feedback in this type of communication model. The noise and the environment are other elements that affect the process. So as you can see here, even though you did not speak, but gestures, tone of voice, or body language are considered as feedback. So if the person asks you a question, Miss, alam niyo po ba kung saan papunta dun sa EDSA? And then I would do, so that is a feedback, okay? A negative feedback. So for the sender of the message, I I would say that person doesn't want to talk to me or she's maldita. Okay, that is a feedback. So we have to be careful with how we do our gestures, our tone of voice. We should not shout. When our voice is in a high pitch, example, hindi ko naman sinabi yun ah. Okay, compared to, hindi ko naman sinabi yun. See, there is a difference. For the first one, it seems like you're irritated and you're already agitated. But for the second one, it's calm. Like you're apologetic as well with that kind of voice. Let's look at the model. So here in the transaction model, both are senders and receivers, and there is always a feedback, okay? It is always present. And as you can see, the field of experience is still present, and noise is affecting everything from the sender to the receiver, the context, the feedback, the channel, everything is affected by noise. Okay, once there is something that is disturbing the message, even though it is a context or whatever context it is, as long as it is distorting the message, that is considered as noise. It could be an environmental noise, it could be a signal, it could be noise in your mind, like you are having negative thoughts, that is considered as noise. Okay, so the way you're going to send the message would be affected, and the way the person would receive the message would be different from what you are trying to say, because it has been distorted by noise. Wow. Okay, so let us proceed now. That is the transactional model. Let us compare it with this model, which is the Scrams communication model. In the Scrams communication model, comparing to the transactional model, here we do not see the word signal. Okay, this is applicable for communication using gadgets, using internet, those kinds of things. You can see here the source, this is the person, and the destination is the person. The encoder is like the phone. I am the source, and then I would encode the message, and through the signal, I am going to send it. Using the signal, I can send it to the other phone which would receive the message. Once it has been decoded in the cell phone, it can reach the destination case to case basis if the person is holding the phone. Okay, and as you can see also, there is the field of experience. It could be noise from the environment. It could be um, fluctuation in the signal. So once there are those kinds of noise are present in the communication process, both of you will experience whatever noise is present from the sender. You would also experience it, like in a Zoom meeting. Like their place is noisy, you can also hear the noise from their place. Okay, so and then once everybody is talking in a Zoom meeting, signal is affected. Okay, the signal would fluctuate. Okay, and the message would be unclear. Okay, noise is affecting the destination, this red triangle here. Noise is affecting the destination, noise is affecting the decoder, noise is affecting the field of experience, noise is affecting the encoder, noise is affecting the source, and the feedback as well, and the signal as well. Okay. Right, so once there is a good signal, maybe communication will be better. That is our problem right now in an online learning setting. Signal in the Philippines is not really good. That's why we are both suffering from the consequences of not having a good signal. Okay, so that is Cram's communication model. Again, this is for telecommunication. Let's proceed now to the Shannon and Weaver communication model. This one is specifically for radio and telephone technologies. Here, it shows that the absence of signal is interpreted as noise. Noise here does not pertain to the noise in the environment because radio telecommunication or frequency modulation cannot hear noise from the environment. Okay, it only means that if there is an interruption in the signal, that is considered as noise. That is what we call choppy. Bay, choppy imong line, okay? We cannot hear you. Your line is breaking. Choppy ka bay, choppy ka. Okay, that is noise. Here, like the Scram's communication model, the information source is the person, or it could be the radio station. Of course, the person there is playing the music, and you have here the transmitter which decodes the message of that whatever it has been sent, and through the use of signal it can go to the channel and it would transmit to the receiver and it would reach the destination. Now when we go to the remote places here in our region, example, we are in Tagum City, the signal here is very good. We can hear the music very well. It's very clear. However, once we go further away, like when we go to the remote places in Mindanao, in let's say Bunturan, Moncayo, signal there is not as good as in Tagum City. You cannot tune in to the same radio station once you have reached a farther place. I'm not really good in remembering the radio stations. However, as we have experienced while we are playing a music in the car through FM, once we have reached Nabunturan, we have to tune into a different radio station because we cannot already reach the signal. from Tagum. Okay, so signal has been interrupted. There is so much noise or very low frequency. Okay, we have to look for high frequency in the area. Okay, so the receiver there is, this one is from the radio station. They have the transmitter and they like they're showering signal all over the place. And if your radio is on, that is the receiver, it would grasp that signal and would turn it into music, and you are the destination listening to the music. Okay, so that is the Shannon and Weaver communication model. Now I have here the last one, which is the intermediary or gatekeeper model. This is very observable in YouTube and Facebook and other social media networking sites. Okay, so an example here is YouTube. There is a feature or a setting in YouTube wherein you can choose who can see your posts. Same is true in Facebook. You have that setting, that privacy setting, whether that post is for public, for your friends of friends, or for exclusive friends, or for you only. Okay, you can also have that setting friends except certain people. Okay, that is gatekeeper or intermediary. You are the source, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever social media networking site it is, they are serving as the gatekeeper or protecting the information that you have. Okay, they are like security guards. Oops, this is the limit. You cannot go further. They are the gatekeeper or intermediary. Intermediary means they are in the middle. Okay, between you and the consumer of the message. All right, so I hope that is clear now. Intermediary or gatekeeper model is not limited to social networking sites. Also in news. Some news need to be filtered or to be edited to be listened to by the editors before they can publish it or before they can air it in TV stations. They have to make sure that it is not fake news. So that is still under intermediary or gatekeeper model. Okay. Also in magazines, before they are going to publish that magazine, they have to make sure that all the contents are right or it is applicable to certain masses or consumers or readers. Okay. Some of the books have to be edited, especially if they are children's books. They have to edit it so as to make sure that all the contents would be suitable for the needs of the child or the children, and none of those contents would be affecting the young minds of the children and would cause them to be confused. Okay, parental guidance is advised, like those kinds of things when we are watching the television. Okay, once they have said that this portion or this movie is needing the guidance of the parents because it is R18, rated 18. Okay, so that is using the intermediary or gatekeeper model. Okay, let's proceed now. So we have learned that the elements of communication are the participants, the context, the message, the channel, and the feedback. And these are the following communication models. And that is the end of the lesson. However, I have here my questions for you. Okay, I am going to give you an example for you to have a quick review. Okay, so my question is, this is my question. Is there such thing? Is it true that there is no such thing as zero feedback? What is your answer? Second, how destructive is noise? You're going to give a true to life example. What do you think is the most essential elements of communication? And here, give a concrete example where the intermediary model is used in communication. And differentiate Shannon Weaver from Scram's communication model. They are really different from each other. Okay, so that will be the end of this lesson. I hope you have learned something out of this lesson. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day, students. God bless you. God bless everyone. Till next time.